And welcome back to the Indie Venture podcast, the podcast all about indie games, hosted by me, Rebecca Jones, and my dear friends Liam Richardson.
What up?
And Rachel Watts.
I hate you.
Oh, man. Rachel went head in hands as soon as Liam...
Don't make me laugh.
Oh no. So yeah, as you have probably already heard, listeners, it's kind of the morning after the night before here at Indieventure Towers. I'm going to say in the Indieventure HQ, and that's not just because we all happened to be ill at the same time for recording this episode. That's not what's happening. No, the reason that we're all in a bit of a post-celebratory mood is because 2024 has officially come to an end. It's been a couple of weeks since the BAFTA Game Awards, which means that the 2024 Game Award season is officially over. It runs from November to April. It is actually about half of the calendar year. It's kind of weird to think about when you put it like that. So don't think about it. And instead, let's enjoy the fact that we've now got to watch loads of cool awards ceremonies. Some of us have even got to appear on them. Rachel.
Hey!
I'm gonna keep talking about that because it's so exciting. So I think it's fair to say that we're not that into award ceremonies for the sake of awards, but at least one of us here absolutely loves a good set of stats, and I always make sure that I'm the one holding the host microphone when it gets to this time of year. So yeah, we're going to talk about award shows again for a little bit before getting into our main topic today, which is going over some of the games we forgot to cover in 2024 to send off the year in style. But before we get into that, and so I can recover for a second, how are you guys doing? How's it going?
Good. Tired. Oh.
Yeah. I had COVID over the weekend, so I'm not great.
Oh,
and
my
God.
God.
I read that, was there a news story a few years ago that said every time you get COVID, you suffer a little bit more brain damage, and I don't have much brain to damage. So today I just keep saying random shit and being like, oh no. I'm like one COVID away from not being able to keep my job anymore. I don't think.
Oh no.
Brain leaking out the ears.
Yeah.
Sausage rolls, I think.
It's not. You are one of the most intelligent people I know, Liam. That is not fair on yourself, but you have
Find
had COVID
more
a lot.
friends. What? That can't be true. What? That is that is a self-own for you to say.
I don't want more friends. I like you guys, but there we go. Anyway, so more to the point. Stop getting COVID, man.
I can't. I love it. I love being on trains. I love. Oh, you've got a sniffle. Can I sit next to you?
Oh, God.
Can I sniff your sniffle?
You're right.
Ew.
So I'm going to tell a little story here. That's quite embarrassing, but whatever. I was on a train last week. I did an 18-hour day in London. It was my second 18-hour day in a week. Whatever. I'm busy at the moment. And at the end of my day in London, I was getting a Leon in King's Cross Station as like a little treat. And I got their halloumi wrap with some, they're like waffle fries. And I was so tired and so out of it, and clearly so on the cusp of COVID, because that night is when I started to feel bad.
Oh, no.
I took a bite out of the wrap. I was sat in a corner by myself, just in my coat, just hunched in a corner. And I took a bite of the wrap, and I literally said, involuntarily, I went, oh, fuck. Because I was just so happy to be sat down and eating. And then when I got on the train, there was this couple opposite me on a table seat, and they were like, you know when you see like really attractive people, it's like a guy and a girl, and they were like so good looking, and they were like really flirty, and they were giving each other little kisses and like, you know, having like fun. And I just like pulled out, again, slumped in the corner. I pulled out a Galaxy Caramel, and I tried to eat like 4 of the like squares at once. And as it was like halfway in my mouth, I just dribbled all over myself.
Oh, babe.
I was clearly so excited about the Galaxy Caramel. And they were both, like, I looked up and both of them were looking at me directly, like in the eyes. Yeah. So they would have seen it all just come out. And they looked like slightly disgusted. And I was like, I don't care. I'm going to keep going with this.
That's fair. Oh, no.
You're on my train now. You're trapped in here with me.
In a fall, though. Who does that in a fall? Go to a 2. you want to be like
What,
that? I'm
the
so
Galaxy
bitter on
Caramel
a,
bit.
I'm so
You
bitter
talking
on
to
a
me?
train. No, not you. You're fine. But they're the two. If you want to get all that, go in a 2.
I
God.
agree. Stop being happy,
Yeah. Oh.
people in your 20s.
Oh, it's even worse. Young, happy
Oh my
people
God.
in love.
I know. They probably think
Christ.
life's good and there's good days to come. Little do they know. It's all Galaxy Caramel from here and dribbling in front of other people.
Clear skin.
Anyway, that's how I am. Bad.
Wow.
Thanks for asking. How are you?
Yeah, you know that week where everyone's seasonal allergies were terrible. I had that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
now I have a not COVID virus that feels a bit like COVID. So that's 2 weeks without being able to breathe through my nose. It's great.
Yeah, we're all feeling a bit off.
But I think it really does. Like, let's pretend, like, let's imagine that we just, we just drank champagne on the red carpet too much and just woke up, feeling all glamorous in a Las Vegas hotel, even though why would we do that when the awards are in London? But anyway.
How do we get invited to the BAFTA Game Awards? Is anyone listening who can get us an invite to the Game Awards next year?
You'd be really cool about it, promise.
Yeah.
I won't be at all. I'll be intolerable about it. But
No, can you
I do
imagine
bring a
us
certain
three on
vibe
the
to the
red?
party.
Yeah, us 3 on the red carpet would be insufferable. It'd be amazing.
Oh, could we all wear pink suits?
I can never wear a suit.
Yes, sparkly pink
Please.
suits.
Someone on the BAFTA. Well, if you're one of these mysterious judges, get us tickets next year. Do it.
Yeah.
We don't have a Patreon. That's how you contribute to the podcast. Get us into exclusive game-related award shows.
I would love that. I would genuinely love that.
We'd probably just get to 9 p.m. though and want to go home.
Well, it ends at 9. That's
100%.
perfect.
Does it?
The show ends at 9.
Fantastic. Done. Easy.
Yeah. Just imagine us like getting straight into a taxi, not looking at anyone as soon as the show's over.
Absolutely not.
Just sat there, arms folded the whole show like, well, that
Yeah.
didn't deserve to win, did it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Just like
heckling from the back at Astro.
Oh my
Another one for
goodness.
Astrobot, is it? Play another game.
Astro Boot.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty good. Yep, well done.
Well,
Thanks.
I think this has led us neatly into what I wanted to talk about first, which is just a little bit of a roundup of some of the highlights of 2024 Game Awards season.
Yeah.
I hope this is interesting to other people and it isn't just me geeking out about. Again, I don't care about awards, but I fucking love stats, so I'm just like very
Stats
excited.
queen.
But yeah, speaking of absolute gremlin behaviour, I do have to say that the highlight of the shows themselves for me had to be, I don't know if either of you saw Ben Starr accepting Bellatro's award on behalf of Local Funk. I was like, he's won. He's not even technically won anything, and he's won this entire year of award seasons. That was just that was a great time.
On the website, they do like official portraits of the hosts and the winners. So they do like these really fancy like photography sessions with all the winners. I was having a look through earlier today, and like some of the pictures are really beautiful, really classy.
Mm-hmm.
My boys from Cool Supper, who won
Nice.
with Thank Goodness You're Here, they had like a very classy portrait. And then there's just Ben Starr on like a little stool, just like elongating himself.
But I'm gonna have to go look for it.
I'd recommend it.
It was a genuine delight. He seems like a really great person every time I see him do stuff.
As the Ballatro clown as well. As the
That was so good. His
Jimbo.
speech was really funny, and I was just like, this is kind of like, it was, I thought, to be fair, like pulling it back to the kind of the macro view, I thought it was a bit of a dry award season last year. And I think it's because, no shade on Astrobot, I like Astrobot, but I feel like it was not a huge game for AAAs, and when it's a huge year for AAAs, can't even think of words anymore. And when it's not a huge year for AAAs, the awards aren't that exciting, really, because as we're about to see when I get into my stats, indies don't really get a lot. It's not like for big award shows, indies sadly don't get to come and fill all the gaps of the AAA like field. But before we get into that, I do want to just say that Rachel was on the bloody BAFTAs, which was incredibly exciting. I missed seeing her
Smashing
live because I was in the garden. I was in the garden and didn't find out until afterwards. But
I had you in a meeting room in Greg's HQ. You were on the big screen. You were on the 80-inch screen in the corner. Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got you right up there when I was doing a bit of work before I went home.
Oh,
great.
so
It was so good.
Yes, it was a very like last minute thing. But yeah, I was on a pre-show BAFTA Games live stream which was really nice. They invited me on and they asked me a bunch of questions about the nominees. And of course, I mentioned every indie game I could and just shoved it in wherever I could. And it was a good time. And it's very strange being interviewed by the BBC because, like, you can't see who you're speaking to. And
really?
So they put you on a Zoom call. And you can hear a couple of people in your ear who are like, okay, Rachel, you're going to be on, and this person's going to talk to you. And I was just like, oh, okay. And all you can see is like this like screen, and it just says, please look directly into the webcam, and you can only hear who's talking to you. So I had the live stream on, but the live stream on was like a minute behind. I guess in case they can cut you want to cut you off or like whatever. So it was really weird having like kind of half seeing my reaction like a minute after I had talked about something. But yeah, it went really well. I hope they invite me back because it was a good time.
I hope they invite you back.
Did they?
I hope that they invite you back with more warning next time so that I don't miss it because I'm in the garden and I don't see my messages until later.
But yeah, I actually didn't watch. I did the pre-show, but I didn't actually watch the BAFTAs, so I'm catching up now.
That's all right. I've got the highlights. I've got the hits for you. It's okay.
No, that's a joke. To the person who's going to get us tickets, she's joking. Also, before when she said they finish at 9 p.m, I didn't know that. Also a joke. Yeah. She watched the BAFTAs. Please invite her.
Yeah.
I got really tired because I put like all my energy into the interview, and then I was like, I'll watch them now. Fell asleep. Okay,
totally
that's fair. I don't know, genuinely. It's a bit of a tradition in our household. I don't watch any other award shows like games or anything, but ever since 2018, Mick and I have watched the BAFTAs, the BAFTA Game Awards together, like as it happened. And I don't know why, and I don't know how this became a thing, but every single year, no matter what else is going on, we've always managed to like sit down with a takeaway and watch BAFTA Game Awards for like the last
that's so sweet.
7-8 years. So yeah, again, I'm like, I don't know why. I don't like. I mean, I like the BAFTAs as an institution as much as anything, I guess, but I'm not like a huge aficionado. I just started doing it and it's become
She's joking. She loves it. Invite us next year.
Yeah,
they're
actually,
both joking.
Yeah. Oh my God, they definitely listen this far and I just want you to know. No, I mean, like, genuinely, it's like the same as with the Oscars or whatever. I just think award shows, I mean, to kind of like put it in a bit of context, I think award shows in entertainment industries are really interesting, but I don't take them as any sort of like gospel of what's actually, particularly. It's an interesting look at what certain groups and academies think of as like the best games of the year, but I think that it's only interesting because there are so many different approaches to take to it.
Yeah, 100%. I do it with film awards more than games. It's just nice to see what people are talking about, and like you said, like what certain like groups of people like put on pedestals compared to others. And the BAFTAs in particular is a bit more, I don't know, I feel like it's a bit more vibey than a lot of other award shows.
It is quite vibey. And another thing that I did like this year about it is that in terms of like obviously being the British Academy of Film and Television and game, come on, put games in there. But like
come on.
The fact that of the indie winners that we did get, and there weren't many indie winners on the night because Astrobot swept a lot of categories, but Thank Goodness You're Here and Still Wakes the Deep both got a lot of recognition, which I think in a British-focused award show was really good to see. Thank Goodness You're Here, which was my favourite indie game of last year, took the Best British Game, which I think was very well deserved, both in theme as well as in like the sort of technicals of it being a game produced in Britain. Still Wakes the Deep got the Best New IP and both the acting awards, which was again really special to watch.
That is good. The acting is really really good.
They were both, both the speeches for those were really good. They were very, very fun and entertaining to watch. And so it was nice. It does feel quite siloed, but it sort of felt like if you're going to be siloed, then at least kind of look at what games are saying about Britain as well as just what games can be tied to Britain in terms of their production or whatever. So I thought that was quite satisfying, even though it does often mean that the BAFTAs are kind of the ones that stand a bit apart from the rest of the more international showcases. So that was nice to see. As I say, Astrobot absolutely dominated. I do genuinely think someone who makes a lot of decisions at BAFTA is massively into PlayStation Studios. And look, I love PlayStation. I'm not gonna like, in terms of in terms of consoles, I'm a PlayStation gal, like, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still there, like, I don't think necessarily that God of War, The Last of Us, and Astrobot deserve to be the most lauded games of all time. I do feel like someone's bias is at work there. Like, no offense to them, I'd do the same. But yeah, there are a couple of other indie winners on the night as well at the BAFTAs. Neva, how are we pronouncing that?
Neva?
I don't know, actually.
I
Neva?
thought it was Neva.
I think it's Neva, yeah. Neva got Artistic Achievement, and Tales of Kenzera Zhao got Game Beyond Entertainment, which was like a really nice speech to watch as well. That was really lovely. And then, of course, Vampire Survivors got Best Ongoing Game, which I think is
You'll be happy
very
about,
good
Liam?
to see when you see
Very
some of the
happy.
stuff it was up against. That's really gratifying to see as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but then I did, because obviously, as I've said, one award show doesn't really tell you anything other than what like a dozen people liked. So I had to go and look and see what I could glean from all of the other major award shows. So I did consider looking at some more niche award shows as well, mainly because I wanted to talk about the Horror Game Awards.
Ooh, okay.
I was really happy because Mouthwashing got like a lot of recognition. It beat Silent Hill 2 to narrative and player's choice, which was really nice to see. Slay the Princess won something, Still Wakes the Deep won something, Lethal Company won something, and Chillers Art as a studio was recognised. So that was like...
That is cool.
To be honest with you, I'm a kid in a candy store when I look at things from the Horror Game Awards. I think it's a great production. But then I realised if I look at the Horror Game Awards, I have to look at every single like niche genre and platform award show.
Rebecca.
And I was trying to do this in 30 minutes this morning. And so I was like, you know what? We're just going to do the big five. We're just going to do the big five.
That's fair.
Because...
That's good. I feel like you would have just lost yourself there.
No. I nearly did. It was a tense thing. But yeah, the sort of like the takeaway from looking at the Big Five as a whole, and the Big Five, by the way, for people who aren't aware, that would be the 5 major game award shows that run from November to April every year. So that's the Golden Joysticks, the Game Awards, DICE Awards, Game Developers Choice, and then the BAFTAs, and that's kind of what award season is in the games industry. And the more you look at it, the more stats you get, and the more stats you get, the more your nerd brain is happy. So
I love how into the stats you are, by the way.
I know.
It's so endearing every time we do
genuinely
this episode.
don't care about awards. They are not interesting to
She
me.
does care about them.
The
She does
red
care about
carpet
them.
is not interesting to me.
Juicy
She loves the
numbers.
red
Seeing
carpet.
the numbers
She wants to
go
be on
up
it.
is so satisfying. Like, basically looking across the Big Five, Balatro was the indie game of last year, according to kind of the academy as it exists in this industry. 13 awards across 5 shows, which is like huge.
Wow. Nice.
Damn.
It also managed to stop Astrobot from EGOTing, which I was pretty happy about, because Baldur's Gate 3 was the first game ever to do it last year. And I did wonder if there's going to be like a Bannister effect came into play, and like it, now that it's happened, it'll happen every year. But no, it's we've still got that barrier. And I'm like, I genuinely think Baldur's Gate 3 deserved to be the first game to sweep all of the game of the year. It was something really special. And I was like, if fucking Astrobot does it a year later, I'm going to be a bit salty about it. So.
Sure, yeah.
So I was satisfied there. Sorry, Astrobot. You are very cute. And yeah, the only other multiple winners were Still Wakes the Deep with the 3 awards it got from the BAFTAs, and Neva, which got a Game for Impact at the Game Awards.
Oh, cool.
And literally every other indie that got recognised that I could find in my skim. So you had Another Crab's Treasure, which was
cool.
an interesting one that got best self-published indie at the Golden Joysticks, which I thought was an interesting distinction, because that then Balatro got best indie at the same. So Animal Well got outstanding achievement in game direction at the DICE Awards.
Cool.
Frostpunk 2, Rachel, you'll be happy to know.
Yeah.
Best sim strategy game at the Game Awards.
Ooh, very nice.
One for Liam, Satisfactory as well.
I
PC Game of the Year.
That. Yeah, that was the joysticks, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then, as we already mentioned, Tales of Kenzera Zhao and Thank Goodness You're Here at the BAFTAs. So, like, in terms of recognition, I don't feel like it was a huge year for indies in that sense. I'm still kind of shocked that 1,000 Times Resist didn't get any shout outs anywhere. I'm like, I feel like they didn't put themselves forward for a lot, but also, like, for things that were, like, nominated. I get a vote, or I get a sixth of a vote or something on the Game Awards, and I did try, but it wasn't really gaining traction in that sense.
I mean, there's no way that Jeff Keighley would ever have that game up at the Game Awards, because it has some political elements to it. And
That's true.
He wouldn't dare want to lose his KFC sponsor or whatever. Yeah. But I feel like it got a nod at the DICE Awards.
It probably, to be honest, when I didn't look at nominees for this, so I've forgotten what got nominated because...
Well, I have a little list of nominations here that I thought was interesting.
Very good.
Didn't win,
Thank you.
but Some of the nods were Close of the Distance. Close of the Distance? Close of the
Close to the
Distance.
distance, I think.
Indica, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, UFO 50, Manor Lords, Pacific Drive, Plucky Squire. Yeah, and I don't know. It's always weird whenever we do these awards, these award episodes, because I don't know, like all the best of the Still Wakes the Deep team, but that being one of the only indies that got multiple awards is kind of wild.
It is kind of wild. I mean, I guess the way I looked at it was it got the Best IP award, Best Original IP, and then it got 2 acting awards, which almost feel like a part of a separate.
Yeah, to be fair.
A separate beast. And to be fair, I do think last year there were not a huge amount of games that were fully acted. And I do think that it was quite a small pool. Not to say that they didn't, they were brilliant performances, but I who play a lot of games with full motion capture and full voice acting, I can only really think of that Life is Strange Double Exposure as the sort of big ones that had voice acting as part of the prestige of the game. So I do feel and that's, I feel like I've been really shady on the actors in Still Wakes the Deep, which I didn't mean to do. I do think that the acting awards are always drawing from a smaller pool, not just this year, but every year.
I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
No, I think they both really deserve the win. I'm not trying to say that, but it's always, there are, usually 3-4, quite often the acting nominees will all be from the same game because it's such a small thing compared to all of the, technical achievement, which could be theoretically any game. So if you look at acting as separate, Still Wakes the Deep kind of has one non-acting award, and then that kind of makes more sense if you ask me. Because I agree. To be honest, my feelings about last year, which probably came out in our Game of the Year episode in December, was that there were a lot of really good indies last year, and I really struggled to find anything that particularly rose above the crowd. Not in a bad way. It was a strong year. But trying to pick the standout if you weren't that into Balatro was quite challenging.
Yeah, I think what I'm really surprised about is Balatro makes sense. And actually, I got Balatro on my phone the other week when I got a new phone. And now I feel like I was really wrong about Balatro because I put so much time into it on my phone. It's just unlocked for me. Just having it. It turns out I just needed to be pooping while I was playing that game for it to really resonate with me.
Nice.
Interesting.
Interesting is such a good response to that. But I'm surprised Animal World didn't get more nods because that was such a journalist game last year.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised because I just feel like, and this happens in the film space quite a lot. Something like The Brutalist comes out and you're like, oh, that's Oscar bait, or it fits very well into a certain kind of category. And I just think games like Animal Well, Lorelei, they don't neatly fit into any of these categories. Because they're almost they're just so complex in terms of how you approach them, what they're doing in terms of the message they're sending. Animal Well getting basically aesthetic nominations instead of it
really
being we know puzzle games always suffer because of it, but nothing to do with it being a puzzle game. I do kind of feel that a lot of these awards, even within the indie games, you have to pigeonhole. You're pigeonholing these indies. And so Balatro, it being by one developer and it being really addicting and all that is great, but again, it fits into an idea about what it fits into this image that we have of this indie game is I just feel a lot of these other beastie indies, because of 1,000 Times Exist was pretty big for an indie, and so is Animal Well. And Lorelei, they don't fit neatly into what we perceive as an indie game. And so when you try and categorize them, you can't, apart from maybe debut, but even then.
Absolutely. There is also the issue, I think, with a lot of shows still go by genre, and those genre categories are quite archaic in my opinion. So A Little Inside Baseball is, as I've mentioned before, VG247 as a group, my workplace, we get a vote at the Game Awards. So, and every year we have the same discussion where we're it's wild to us, not just to me, but to all of us, that there are separate adventure and action adventure categories at the Game Awards, but there's no horror category. It's what's there and what's omitted feels really weird. There's a VR category, which we always have to. There are certain requirements to vote in each category if you're on the panel, And we never get to vote on the VR category because we can't put up enough demonstration that we know the subject, basically. Mm. And we're like, we've got like at least 2 horror game experts on the team who can't use that knowledge because of the fact that that's like omitted within the category. So I do think that when you're doing, when it's broken down by that sort of thing, it does become like very, like I say, archaic and difficult to, and the problem here, I feel like indies get kind of screwed either way, because you either have these like very restrictive little boxes that indies are all, quite often all about breaking those molds and like doing something different that then doesn't fit neatly. If you put everything down to like technical and artistic categories, then indies really aren't going to get the recognition compared to AAAs almost all the time. But if you create dedicated indie categories, then that's just a different kind of pigeonhole. And I think that you really see that from the 2024 awards season, in that it's like, we've decided what the breakout indie is. And there are certain categories like, call it games for impact or games beyond entertainment, where indies tend to do better. Like I say, this is why I would be like, I am fascinated by awards season, but I don't really buy into it, is because I love a thing I can fix. I think that's something that it comes up a lot. I would rather be like, I like it, but it could stand to improve. I love a B grade, which is what I would give awards season.
And the way that we can improve the BAFTAs is by being invited to them next year. So if you'd like a better review of the BAFTAs, let us come. And we'll be like, oh, wow, yeah, Indiana Jones for everything. We agree with that now, actually, because we drank your free booze. So please get in touch.
Come on, you're looking at that list. We've got queer, women, neurodivergent. We'll tick all those boxes for you. Get us in there. Contact at indieventurepodcast.co.uk. Send us a message. We'll tick those boxes for you.
Yeah, Indie Venture Podcast. We'll tick those boxes for you.
Part of me wants to put like a big asterisk next to that and say, we are all so white though. Like,
yeah. That's on them though. They need to sort that out.
Yeah.
Do better and start doing better by inviting.
I mean, I'm an Aries. Does that count for anything?
Anyway, I think the main point here is that we've done a nice little roundup of this year's Game Awards. Thank you again for indulging me in those numbers. I will probably in the show notes just do a whole list of what Balatro won, because it's interesting to see, and I don't feel like I mentioned all of them. Yeah, I think my takeaway from this is that I need to give Balatro another go, because I quite like poker, but I played an hour of it and I was like, this was fun, and then never picked it up again because I had loads of other stuff to play.
Rebecca, you cannot go from Blueprints to Balatro. You would literally die.
Yeah.
We'd never see you again.
I've already got my placebo lined up in Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which is like as good, I've been told, but much shorter. So that's
the good puzzle game set in a house, in my opinion. I'm at war with the people in the Discord, by the way. Everyone in the Discord loves Blueprints, and I'm there like, at least one of you should have my opinion, if that's okay. I'll ban you all if you don't.
I'm still playing so much of it that I could easily have made this another Blueprints episode, but I think we need to put that to one side. We need to probably dedicate, when we do our 2-part Game of the Year stuff in December, I feel like one of them is just going to be Blueprints again. So I think we need to.
I'm busy that week.
No, because I need to shout my
Me and Rebecca will just chat about it for an hour.
Oh my goodness, our DMs are so feral. I feel like.
I've not played it for 3 days now.
Well done.
I think that's part of what really. I think that, compared to like playing it every day, like a couple hours every day, I think I just got to a point where I was like, I had to review Lost Records, so I had to stop, and then I was like, right, I got to go back, and I was like, what if I just wait a day or two?
So I was like, we have to do a break. We have to play Lost Records, but then various things happened, and the TLDR on it is, my partner had a bad couple of days, and the kindest thing to do was just to play 7 more hours of Blueprints.
Just a little treat. Yeah, just 7 hours.
My God.
Yeah. Oh my God. I worked, I think if you count the time I spent with the demo, I'm over 70 hours now on Blueprints.
Damn.
I love it. I can't help it. Anyway, this is not a Blueprints episode. This is not a Blueprints episode. Blueprints episode. I am adding Blueprints to the show notes because
no,
it needs to be said.
No. That's the opposite of please. It's no.
Please. No. No more.
But,
I don't want to think about the den again. With its little
I love
chess
it.
piece
I
and its
love a
gem.
den. Oh, tasty.
oh my god, yeah, favourite rooms in Blueprints, let's go.
Me and Henry have chatted
All right,
so many times
section
about our
2,
favourite rooms.
I'm
sake.
sorry.
Oh, I love a den.
Oh, I love the garage because you get 3 keys.
Nah,
So
garage
you
is
know
mid.
it.
Mid.
See,
Garage is mid.
This is the thing. This is the thing is you say you hate this game, but you're never incorrect when referencing its details. So I know
Yes,
that you were drawn in.
I know. I put 18 hours of it. I was just as much a sicko about it. Let's do every room ranked. Let's do it. Our first ever video will be
Oh,
every
my
room
goodness.
ranked.
Yes. Like
I'm
the
pitching that to my
STS
editors.
Oh my
They'll love
God.
that. That'll go into.
We should do a live stream.
Maybe we should actually do that. That might be quite funny, actually. We should do that.
Lavatory, F tier. Below
God,
F tier. Fuck the lavatory. Fuck that room.
At some point in all that, we quite neatly ended our
Yes.
Game Award season chat,
Yeah.
and then we kind of talked about Blueprints. And I think it's probably time that we moved on to the kind of the main part of the episode, really, hopefully, through intention, I would say, which is when we talk about all the games in 2024 that we didn't get time to cover, but we really want to talk about before we finish 2024.
Yes.
And finally declare it official 2025 Indie Venture time. Yes.
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 In April.
The cadence of that really got me the way you said that. That was very
If
pleasing
it's,
to me.
if it's good enough for the tax year, it's good enough for us, right?
Hell yeah. I love that. Right, I need a wee. I'm so sorry. I need a mid pass.
That's
I
okay.
do as well. I'm so happy you've said that. I'll be 2 minutes.
Liam.
Thank you. It was a clear piss, lads, just to keep you up to date. Clear piss.
You know what I think about a lot is that, like,
What's that?
What's that, babes?
like what? I guess
Talk to
three
us.
and a half years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
4 years ago, none of us knew each other. And now it's like you come into a room, it's like, what colour is everyone's pee today? And it's just like, I don't think I've ever quite had that level of like relationship, change.
You say that, but I think like 2-3 days into knowing Rachel face to face when we went to America
Yeah.
that time, I was
Yeah.
like, my poos are bad. America's bad for poos. So I think this was the basis of the
You
relationship.
guys had the baptism of fire. So yeah, I mean, 2024, as we've already mentioned, there were a ton of really good indie games, and as I've also indicated, it was very hard to choose between them because so many of them were so promising and exciting, and there was just a lot going on, a lot of stimulus, a lot of input, and so yeah, we missed out on quite a few cool games over the course of last year, and so I would love to say that we're going to now talk about all of the great ones that we missed. I don't think that's going to happen, but we have all picked a few that we have been
Yes.
catching up on over the past couple of months. And we're going to talk about them now. So I don't know about you guys. I've kind of sort of incidentally ended up focusing on ones that haven't really been covered at all on the podcast. But if we want to go
Yeah.
over and like talk about some that maybe one of us played and others didn't, that's cool too. But yeah, who would like to go first and just take something from the unearthed treasure trove of last year?
I can go first.
Mm-hmm.
That
Please
works.
do.
Go
Yeah.
for it, girl.
So the first game I played was recommended to me by a bunch of people in the Indieventure Discord. So thank you to those people whose names I cannot remember who recommended it, but it was quite a lot of people. So this is Anthology of the Killer by the Catamites, Tommy Tone, and A. Deegan. This came out in October of last year. This is a collection of 9 games that are packaged together. You access all of these games in it's like an art exhibition, and you go into each of these games, and each game it's like an anthology. You play as a character called BB, who's a young-ish, I kind of want to say she has millennial energy, but maybe that's because I'm a narcissist. She's a zine author who lives in a city, and this city has like a ludicrously high homicide rate, to the point where it's an accepted part of living in this city that you will probably get murdered at some point.
Oh, fuck.
Holy shit. Is it Cabot's Cove? Sorry, Murder, She Wrote reference. Sorry.
It's a very good reference.
Please go on.
I think it might just be called Murder City or something.
Oh,
I don't think it's
wow.
very subtle about
I
it.
mean, I don't wish to victim blame, but at a certain point.
If you live in Murder City. Well, the murder rate is so high that everyone's just really blasé and numb about it, which forms a lot of the tone of the game. And the killer, the titular killer, is this like figure that looms large over all 9 games and makes frequent appearances, but they're not necessarily the big bad, because everyone is just so like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, there's murderers around every corner here. So each game takes about 15 to 30 minutes to finish. It took me about 4 hours to see everything. And the games feel more accomplished and ambitious the further you work your way through the collection. I'd say the first game and the last game feel quite different in terms of scope and ambition, like I say. But this is truly brilliant. This is one of the best things I've ever played. I absolutely fell in love with this game. So the main thing that I think it really succeeds in is that it's a surreal game, but it's not like in that most overused sense of the word, like, oh, you can say like Hypnospace Outlaw is surreal. Like, this is a game that actually feels like it teeters on the edge of dreams in a really effective way, in that the main character is so grounded in this world and is very passive in how they'll comment about it. But the things that are happening around them are insane. Like, absolutely just like, what am I even looking about here? The first game is she gets a job at a call center and all of the employees are ghosts. And she just makes like little quips about it. And what really makes this game special is it is a walking simulator. It's very light in interaction. You just walk around and find speech bubbles, and then BB's speech bubble will appear on screen and she'll have like a comment about what's happening. But the writing is superb. The writing is very dry. It's very witty. It's very literary and dreamlike. It really adds to this dreamlike sense, like I say. And visually as well, it's like it looks like it's being done in MS Paint, brackets complimentary. It's just really like popping with color, but has like this childlike like element to it, even though you do see people like die quite horrifically in this game because, you know, it's a city full of murders. But I think what I really love about this is that sometimes I play games, and much like that Wikipedia article I told you all about the other week, I'll play a game and I'll be like, this feels like a piece of art in the more traditional sense of something, in that it has something to say, but it's been a little bit... The way it communicates its messages are, I think, hard to grasp by design. But the takeaway I took from it is that it feels like a game that's very considered about representing the current world we live in, where like ludicrous things are happening all the time. We're subjected to extreme horror, and we're all sort of just like trying to vibe our way through it. And that's kind of how I see BB as this main character. She's a brilliant main character. She's so good. And what I really love about it is that the city itself is like, it's just like a great metaphor for modern life and culture. So there's one game where you're in your apartment building and you sneak out of your apartment building to try and find 90s memorabilia from lower floors to sell online for extortionate prices. As a way of just like making ends meet for you and your flatmate. So you're trying to find like old Bart Simpson toys and, you know, t-shirts from TV shows that don't exist anymore. What I love about it is that as you go down in this apartment building, it's all like layered on top of each other and it's all mashed together. Like, none of these spaces make any sense. Everything's decaying and rotting. And all I could think of is like, it feels like a really good metaphor for modern culture and how it's all just slop. Like it all washes over us. It layers on top of each other and decays and erodes until it no longer holds any meaning. Like, monoculture is dead, and like this is what we're left with. There's sort of just like this, I don't know, just wash of just stuff that we can't ever really comprehend or like sit in for very long. And that's like one of the games. And it's just brilliant. And also it's very funny. Like, sometimes BB will go on this like really long monologue about like society and life and death and what it means to be human, and then it'll just end with like a really dry punchline, and just like, that's really fucking funny actually. Like, I really love this game. I played it for our horror episode actually that we did earlier this year, and then felt like it deserved a little bit more oxygen. So yeah, it's so cheap. It's like less than $5. You'll finish it in 4 hours. You might hate it. Some of the earlier games are quite hard to navigate because everything's a 2D sprite in like a 3D object, like a 3D room. So sometimes like the camera will do wild swings, and sometimes you're like being chased by something and trying to navigate. It's a bit like, what am I doing here? But it just is like a lot of the games I'm going to talk about today are just like indie games at their purest, where it's just a bunch of creators being like, let's just make something unlike anything else. And Anthology of the Killer is a true original in that sense. Really love this.
Well, it looks like a complimentary, a Newgrounds game. Like, it just looks like something that's like so hidden within the depths of the internet.
Yes.
It looks really cool. I love the art style.
It does look awesome. It's like, again, going back to it, I just feel like I heard of this very briefly last year, but there was just so many things that looked awesome that I didn't even get a chance to really look at what it was. I'm really glad you've highlighted this because it does look extremely cool.
I think both of you will like it for very similar reasons. But I hadn't even heard of it. I hadn't heard of it until people in the Discord mentioned it. Yeah.
Yes, love that. Our Discord coming through with like weird picks.
As always, yeah. Get on that Discord. It's full of great recommendations. Yes, that's my first one. Who would like to go next?
Rachel, do you want to go?
I'll go. I think I might have mentioned Arco on the podcast before, but not gone that much into it. From last year.
You mentioned it, but no, you haven't talked about it properly.
Which is a shame because it ended up being probably one of my favorite games of last year, minus my big three. Arco was pretty up there as well. And there was a big conversation around it just before I launch into what it's about, because it was like, oh, this is a great game, and like everyone's overlooking it. And and last year there were so many great indies, and this was used often as an example of even critics overlooking it as well. Which take that as you will, but that's how I came across it. Was a lot of people were talking about it in the context of it's quite niche, but it's really, really, really good. And again, it's being overlooked, which is like a tale in history, in indie history as old as time. But the hype, what minimal hype there was, it was real. This is a really, really great tactics game. It's a game which kind of mixes real time and turn-based combat. Essentially, you play as, it's kind of like a Western, but reverse Western. So instead of playing like a bunch of white cowboys, you play as like the native people of America, of their country and their different cultures. You play as three different people from three different areas of North America. And just each of them has a revenge story that culminates to them all meeting and then all of them getting revenge on this big organization called the Red Company, who are the big baddies. But yeah, like normally in Westerns, you would see like, the white hats and the black hats and they're going out in cowboys and stuff. This is of a story of not the colonizers, essentially, so that's a really fucking cool story, is like you're taking this kind of reversing the Western genre. So yeah, but the story is really great, if very niche. And so the gameplay that sits alongside that is each person you play as, like there's combat rounds and there's RPG story. And so every time you make decisions, you might get launched to a combat situation. And yeah, like I said before, it's a weird mix of turn-based and real-time. And bullet hell. So guns are a big thing in this game. So you're facing off against a gunslinger. They will fire bullets at you in real time. Then it's your turn. You get to decide what you want to do, what action you want to take, whether that be to dodge, roll out the way, whether that be to jump over the bullets or fire back. You make that decision, and then your action gets played out in real time, and so does their action, whether they're reloading or something.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's
what the hell?
Very cool. And because there's a focus on bullet hell as well, it might just be you against like, let's just say 5 enemies who all have different types of weaponry, and they're all firing like bullets at you. And so you can carefully, like during the moments where you're deciding what to do, like navigate your way around this environment in like really interesting, cool ways. Because there's also magic is a big element of this game as well. So you'll get like magical abilities when you play certain characters based on like their culture and their background and their history. And you could teleport to other places to like up like behind someone, like slice them in the same turn if you have enough action points. There's just a lot of different ways of handling increasingly more dangerous situations where you seem to be completely outnumbered. And it's just really smart. The combat feels good. It's just, there's an energy and action to these combat sequences, which feels like really fun. Like there's skill trees, so you can kind of, if you like, I'm someone who likes rolling out the way and dodging, you can do that. Or you can go pick certain skills where you can like hit bullets back, or like catch a bullet and fire it back at the person. It's just really fucking cool. And outside of combat, there's a lot of RPG elements. This game your characters are quite literally haunted by their decisions. So every time you make a decision that is a bit morally questionable, because morals in this game and ethics, it's very interesting in how it deals with that story-wise. But if your character begins to feel guilty about something during combat sequences, a ghost will, the ghosts of people you've killed will haunt you during combat sequences, and they don't abide by the laws of stop, start. They will just keep going towards you even when you're
that sounds so
that's
cool.
so smart.
So you need to kind of atone. If you want to get rid of them, you need to kind of in different ways atone for your sins to make them disappear. So yeah, you're quite literally haunted by your decisions throughout this game.
Wow.
And it's just really cool. Yeah, the guilt system is smart. The combat feels fun. I'm normally not really a turn-based action combat girly, but I was well into it. Yeah, and the story is great. Love a revenge story. I love this twist on what we normally think of as a Western. And yeah, it's really fucking good. And yeah, a lot of people overlooked it. I think everyone was, because I mean, you can say that about almost every indie ever, but I think the reason why this one was noticeable is because I think the developers were being very outspoken about not being able to secure a publisher, which they did. They got Panic in the end.
Panic?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Panic, yeah.
So, but the journey to get a publisher or to either market their game, not even to a publisher, but to players, was extremely difficult. Saying oh yeah, it's a Western, it's a frontier game, but you don't play as cowboys. There's combat, but it's also turn-based, but not, it's also real-time. There's a guilt system, there's magic. It's just, we're kind of seeing this with indies now. It's really hard to pigeonhole your game in a way in which is marketable and players understand what you're trying to sell to them. And Arco fits very much in that category, even though it's a really, really great game. The pixel art is very nice, but again, I remember seeing the pixel art for this game thinking, that looks really great, and completely overlooking it, so that is not saving it.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate. This game, it lives in motion, but unless you see a GIF of it, you're not really going to pay much attention to it, unfortunately. The name Arco doesn't really communicate much. It's a great name, and in the game, it has a big meaning. But yeah, it's just another story in the indie space of it being this is a really fucking good game, but the developers next time were just oh yeah, we're just going to make a roguelike deck builder thing.
Oh, it's such a shame.
Yeah, sucks. But yeah, if you like anything of what I just said, Arco is really good. There's a demo, so check it out if you want to know more about it and want to test it.
I've just wishlisted that immediately.
Me too.
That sounds
Me too.
exactly my kind of shit. Again, I saw it too. I remember people talking about it. You're right. Arco was very close to Norco, and I think in my head, my brain was
shit.
God, I think the same thing happened to me actually.
They're
That
the
makes
same.
sense.
And
that makes sense.
Yeah, just when I looked at the screenshots there, just before you started telling me what it was, I was having a look at some screenshots, and I was like, "Oh, this? I don't really know what this is. It doesn't look that it's not popping off the page, but when you explain it, it's what the fuck? That sounds rad as shit,
right?
Yeah.
So that's such a shame. I really hope the developers have managed to recoup some development costs from this, but it's got overwhelmingly positive 1,000 reviews. Hopefully, it means it's sold okay, but
yeah,
it's a shame.
There's a really
anyway.
There's a really interesting article. This Push to Talk blog. Who does it? Someone big, right? Anyway, it's called "Are Old Games Killing New Games" by Ryan K. Rigney, and they talk about the stats that we had a chat about. Liam, you told us about those percentages of playtime and what people were playing and stuff, and how many people are playing new indie games. So the article kind of goes into that at first, and then they chat to the developer about Arco at the end, a Q&A. And it is so interesting, this whole conversation around no one's playing indies, but also within that very small space, what else is
yeah.
So yeah, Push to Talk is the what is this called? It's not Substack.
It's like a
Is that what
it's
it's called?
like a newsletter.
Like a newsletter. And the article is called "Are Old Games Killing New Games?" And it is really interesting. And if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a Q&A, and it's really good. And the developers seem very outspoken and super honest about making the game. And, you know, if the things are going the way they are, games like this aren't going to exist because...
Yeah.
And that's shit. So yeah, go.
It's awful.
All the games you mentioned today, wishlist them at least.
Yeah, wishlist them, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we nearly called this podcast Add to Wishlist, right? And I think that applies to us as the hosts, because I have added both of the ones that you've talked about to my wishlist just now. Never want that wishlist to dip below 400 anyway, so that's good.
Jeez, my God.
My God.
Incredible. Right, Rebecca, you're next.
Mine comes with a bit of background, a bit of story to it, which is that I had three games that I was considering for this episode. First, I wanted to play Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, but I realised that you can't play it alongside Blueprints and stay sane. So what it's going to be is it's going to be like my to wean myself off Blueprints when I finally finish that game. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is in the barrel, but it has not yet been deployed. That's probably a bit of a mixed metaphor. I'm sure I am. It's probably a bit of a mixed metaphor, but there we go. That's where I am with Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. And then so I started playing Vampire Therapist, which is the second game on my list, which is a Vampire the Masquerade inspired visual novel about therapy. And I was like, of course I'm going to love this. And to be honest, I bounced off it pretty hard. I would like to go back and finish it at some point because I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it after a couple of hours and felt a bit weird about some of the therapy practices in it, which was honestly not what I expected coming out of a vampire game. I would like to go back to it and give it another chance at some point, but to be honest, I have 4 vampire visual novels on my Steam Deck at the moment, all of which...
Yes!
It's a thing that I enjoy, and I'm just like, I barely... Like, when you're into a genre, and you're into several genres, and you want to... if you bounce off something, it's so hard to go back to it. Which is a shame, because Vampire Therapist did get quite a lot of... It got a fair bit of attention last year, and I do feel like it's one that I would have loved to have covered on the pod. But in the end, it didn't quite hold my attention in the way that I was hoping it would. So maybe I'll do an update on that. Sometimes I do an update when I go back to games. But the one I ended up playing in the end was Locomotive, which was a game that I was super excited for last year. It's one that we played. All of us played it because it was a finalist in our category in Indie Cup UK 2023.
Yes.
And I just say that shortlist that we played has now had some amazing games out of it. That was like Videoverse was on that, Phoenix Springs was on that.
Oh, yeah.
So like, a lot of those games have come out now a couple of years down the line, and it's like a really good time. So Locomotive in that category is a very classic point-and-click adventure game in the very like LucasArts styles, like slightly more LucasArts than Sierra, but that sort of like 90s like genre-defining studios doing point-and-click adventure games. Thematically and in presentation, it's kind of like Murder on the Orient Express meets Ace Attorney, and that's not just me bringing my whole steez into this. It is very Ace Attorney inspired for reasons that I'll get into. And it in the end, I managed to play it over 3 days. It's quite short. It's 10-ish hours long. I did, because I was trying to play it for this podcast, use a walkthrough anytime I was stuck for more than 2 minutes, which I don't know if I was like, did I ruin it for myself or did I just remove the frustrations of classic adventure gaming? I haven't decided yet, but in the end I did. I played it in a little under 10 hours. And over 3 days, which for me is really rare. So it does like show that I was very engaged with it.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of other stuff on and I still finished it. Yeah. So the way that I think it's interesting to kind of contextualize this game is while I was playing about it, and it's also worth saying that the style is very pixel art. And it's actually more pixel art than I remembered it being when I went back to it. I was kind of surprised to see how kind of lo-fi it is, because in my mind over the couple of years since I played the demo, I'd remembered it as being a bit more polished and shiny, but no, it is very pixel. But the pixel art, the animations in this game are really good. I think that's one of the many things
really
that it
cool.
does really, really well. So yeah, it's doing what Thimbleweed Park did. I think essentially is the best way to kind of put it in a modern comparison. Is it's doing a lot of the things that Thimbleweed Park did a few years ago, but it takes a very different approach. And I would say if you are a fan of classic point-and-click adventure games, and if you liked Thimbleweed Park, definitely play it. If you didn't like what Thimbleweed Park did, also check it out, because Locomotive takes a very different philosophy towards how you revisit this genre. Because Thimbleweed Park, I think, deconstructed it to the point where it kind of forgot to end the main story, because in the end, the point of the game was the deconstruction and not the mystery. Whereas this, I've seen a few people not like critique but not criticize, if that makes sense, Locomotive for being it kind of just recreates. It doesn't really reflect on, it's just like, hey, would you like another 90s point and click adventure game? If the answer is that yes, then great news. They've done a really good job of just making what feels like a modern interpretation of that. It doesn't go off the wall meta. It pretty much does what it says it's going to do. It's, you know, it's fun and it's goofy. I think if I had one criticism, other than the fact that it launched on November 21st, and just like, don't launch games on November 21st. That's possibly the worst date in the entire calendar year to launch a video game for coverage. I just was like, oh, guys, why? Other than that, I would say that the thing that I think let this game down was the solution to the mystery, which was way too straightforward. It's like, you need to be more outlandish, guys, like Agatha Christie and point and click. It needs to be weird. And without wishing to spoil it too much, in the end, it's pretty much the only person it could have been. And it's, you know, it's still fun and funny, but that's what it is. But this game just did so many things that just made me so happy as someone who loved this genre back in the day and who still loves like the descendants of this genre today. So the reason that I say it's clearly Ace Attorney inspired is because like there are 3 playable characters, right? The character you start with is an estate lawyer in a blue suit with black hair whose initials are AA. Like, come on. And at one point, you can actually do the objection thing as a reaction, which obviously I chose to do. So I'm like, okay, they know where they're coming from in terms of like the modern kind of reinterpretations of and like understandings of this genre. So it's kind of interesting to see that taken back to the LucasArts style in a way, because now we see it's like visual novels or walking sims and like things more like narrative things like sort of Life is Strange and the kind of those are all of the modern descendants of the point and click genre, and I just love seeing it go back to its roots and seeing the things you can do. I did think it was really clever as well. It's written so well, and this is like quite specific, as a game that's sort of vaguely set in the 1930s or 1940s maybe, but not really. It doesn't really commit to a historical period, and I think that's part of its kind of charm and its humor, is that it just trusts you to understand what it's doing in terms of historical setting without actually making a point of being set in any particular era. But in the way that it recreates the 90s, recreating the golden age of detective fiction, it does it by referencing modern internet culture reception of the 90s, which I just thought was a really clever way.
Oh,
that is
so
interesting.
It'll be like there's there's a lot of references to like Democracy Manifest and like the French and all of the things that are from that sort of like 80s and 90s era when these games were being made, but that a modern audience who may not, much as I hate to admit it, may not actually have lived through those eras themselves, can probably like pick up and understand like the way it's referencing. So it's a very clever way of like looking back on a thing. It's without being at all meta in the way that Thimbleweed Park was. It very cleverly like picks up those threads and does it in a way that feels, if it was doing anything particularly meaningful, I think it was probably that. Which I just thought was really fun and interesting. Like the humor was pretty good. It's like, obviously, I'm a little bit ill right now. I probably wasn't like, I wasn't having any side-splitting laughs, but it did raise a good few chuckles, which is nice.
Oh, yeah.
It was, it was like quite, the characters were really likable. I want to talk about the characters as well, because it's fully voice acted, and the voice acting is so good in this game.
It really is, yeah.
It's really well voice acted. I was surprised actually by how few voice actors I knew, because I was like, this must be so many people that are working in a lot of games. The ones I recognised were Samantha Bayard, who was Karlach in Baldur's Gate 3. They were in it.
Oh, yeah.
Alistair Beckett-King, the comedian, he was in it.
Is he Herman Merman? Because Herman Merman is
he's
fucking
not.
iconic.
I love
character.
Herman Merman. I didn't know Herman Merman's actor, and I was really shocked because I was like, I'm sure I know this guy. But so many people. And also, I just want to say,
funny.
In the conclusion of my dorking out, I found out about halfway through the game, I looked up the IMDb page and found out that Arthur Ackerman, the main character, is performed by the VA who plays my favourite Danganronpa character, which obviously just made me like delightedly happy. I had no idea. Because he's very talented. He's very talented, and also he wasn't just like screaming incoherently in this. He actually had lines.
Yeah,
so
very suave
like
character.
That. Yeah, it made the difference. But like really endearingly dorky as well. Like he just wants to do paperwork and he has to be engaged in this like high stakes murder mystery on a train, and he doesn't want to. And I'm like, I feel that in my heart So yeah, there's Arthur, who's the lawyer, who has just been kind of swept up and just wants to do paperwork. There's Herman, who is the private detective / author, who is an absolute campy delight from beginning to end, and I loved him so much. And there's Diana, who is an Inland Revenue agent, but she is a Secret Service Inland Revenue agent, and she wants to be a field agent. And yeah, they are a very engaging main trio. The weird thing is, like, it's a 10-hour game, but because there are 3 protagonists, despite the fact that it allowed me to play it in time to do this episode, I actually wish the game was longer, because the characters and like the animation and just the world of the game were so much the draw compared to the story, which was a little bit like formulaic by comparison. Like, I kind of wish that they'd had a bit more time about it. But yeah, it's not, I don't think it didn't do anything groundbreaking, but I don't think that's the only mark of quality. And I think that if you do just kind of like the idea of a very well produced nostalgia hit for fans of this genre, I'm like, this is definitely one to check out. And it's a shame that because November 21st is no time to release a video game, it kind of got a bit buried in the end of year rush. Like, I would have loved to have played this in time for our Game of the Year episode, but it just was never going to happen at that point. So, but yeah, I'm really, really glad that I got to play this. It was a lovely, lovely little game to just cap off
it's cozy.
The 2024. Yeah, it is very cozy. It does manage to do cozy murder mystery, which I still think is a weird thing that we all just accept is cozy. And I love murder mysteries and I love cozy stuff. But I'm just like, we accept that murder is quite cozy. Why? I don't know. But yeah, Locomotive. It's good. It's fun.
Nice.
Recommend. Do
Herman Bourbon.
Oh, I love him
Herman
so much.
Bourbon and was it something German?
And the Murmuring German.
Murmuring German. Herman Bourbon and the Murmuring German.
Herman Bourbon and the Suburban Burden. Dirk Chiselton as well. Did you like Dirk Chiselton?
Which one's that?
So he's the other private detective who's like a little bit better than Herman in every single way.
Yes.
And he's the
with the body hair.
Yeah, and he's the one who, because there's like an in-game helpline to reference the fact that LucasArts used to have you call an actual phone line for money. He is the voice of the in-game helpline. And like whenever you have Herman call him, he's very resentful of the fact that you're getting tips from his rival. It's very good. It's a very good time.
I love that. So did you finish this, Rachel?
Yeah, I finished it last year. Again, kind of like it was December, cozy game. Isn't it? It's quite short, Rebecca, you said, right? I think I played like 6 hours. Short.
I think it depends.
Even less?
I think it took me 9 and something hours.
I definitely played it for longer then.
I was trying to avoid, like, I did mostly use walkthroughs, but I tried.
Yeah, I was ringing up that phone line.
A couple of minutes.
I was like, hello, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Can you help? Yeah.
I had the phone line and a walkthrough open because I was like, I'm enjoying this, but I don't have time to dick around, so it's just gonna. Yeah.
I totally get that.
Like, Rebecca, you know what I was like with Thimbleweed Park, so I very much was just like, even when I was a bit like, I'm stuck, I would just like,
honestly, I'm surprised that you got into this because it's like I know that it's not your genre typically. So
we played it at the
Indie Cup.
Cup. Yeah.
Is that not happening this year? Anyway, okay. You mentioned it at Indie Cup. And so we all played it then. And I did quite enjoy it because, like you said, the voice acting is fantastic. The animation is very funny. And again, the slapstick, it is quite a charming game. And I liked Herman. Herman Bourbon was so fucking funny.
I'm gonna manifest it at the end of this little spiel. I'm like, if they want to do a sequel with the same characters, I would 100% be in there.
Me too.
Straight away.
I want more.
My final word on this would be, like, I would like to see a more complex and in-depth mystery, but just, like, more of those characters.
I actually don't remember the end.
Nah, it probably says a lot, right?
I'll DM you, but yeah.
I remember those cool sequences at the end, and I remember the puzzles, but in terms of a mystery, I don't actually remember the end.
Yeah. The narrative of the mystery was the bit where it was a bit like... I didn't play
because it was a good mystery game.
It was not a good mystery game, and that was what let it down ultimately. But like everything else was fantastic.
Exactly, and it used mystery tropes for comedy, and I liked that.
Exactly.
And it
was
did
a good
very
it was a good comedy mystery.
Yeah.
One of my favorite films is Murder by Death, and like if you can kind of get behind that, then you'll get behind this. But Murder by Death is also not a good mystery because it's not, it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Alistair Beckett King, I just Googled them to recognize the name, and they used to be subscribed to the RPS YouTube channel.
Oh, really?
Which was always a bit of like a terrifying thing. Much like how Jacob Geller is subscribed to my personal YouTube channel, 7 out of 10.
Hell
which
yeah.
always felt like where did you come from, Jacob? Why are you subscribed?
Yeah,
Anyway.
what a flex. Love that.
hey, yeah.
Probably because there's good videos on 7 out of 10. Amazing videos, I would say.
I mean, he must be dead because he hasn't uploaded in
I was
2
going
years.
to say, I was
that
like,
lad
if only he
doing?
uploaded more often.
I know, actually,
this person is.
It was really funny. Earlier today, I went on RPS to read an article, and Liam popped up, and it was a weird moment of like,
Yeah.
oh, there's my friend. What's he doing here? Oh, we used to work here.
Liam, you always jump scare me.
Like, yeah, it was a bit of a jump scare.
I get jump scared by myself all the time on both RPS and Push Square. And it's a bit weirder on
right.
Push Square because it's been years since I worked there. It's like 4 years since I left, but
Yeah.
sometimes there's
Just
my little wee face.
You
in
throughout the
my room
ages.
during the pandemic. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Look at that harrowed boy from deep in 2020 talking about Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh my goodness.
So, this is a game I did speak about last February after playing its next Fest demo, but I charged through this earlier this year. It's Echo Point Nova by Greylock Studio. I'm very much backing my bullshit with this one.
Yeah.
Liam Game brackets derogatory. So this came out in September. It's by the same developer behind Severed Steel, which is another first-person shooter that I absolutely adored. I think it's a sole developer. So this is a movement-based FPS that is so pure. It's just a movement FPS for sickos like me. You play as someone, who cares? And you're on this floating like series of islands. It is an open world, but it's like an open world populated by miniature little islands with different biomes on it. So you might get like a cluster of little islands with big redwood trees on, or mines, or mountainous regions, or like lava regions. And it's just a first-person shooting playground. It just throws a load of abilities at you. It's like, have a hoverboard where you can press shift at any point to just zip away and grind on walls. When you grind on walls, you get ammo, and have a grappling hook and you can grapple on everything and like basically end up flying, because then you get like a double jump and a triple jump, and there's a bunch of weapons to unlock and a bunch of perks and stuff like that. And the game is literally just going around these islands, pressing like these buttons to spawn a bunch of enemies. And then you just got to try and kill them without dying and like as quickly as you can. And whenever you do that, you get a cool ability, or you get a hat. There's a bunch of hats to put on your player character.
Hey.
And it's just a brilliant little sandbox of, here's a bunch of toys, have fun. And I had such an absolute blast with it. Oh, and it has the terrain can be destroyed as well. So you've got a pickaxe as well, like a Minecraft style pickaxe
God.
on top of all the futuristic stuff.
Amazing.
So you can just dig down into the mountain or into like these islands and like find inventive ways of killing all these people. And then there's like a bunch of bosses, like a huge dune style sandworm they've got to try and like chase around on your hoverboard and like zip through it. It's like a gauntlet where there's thousands of like bullets flying at you and you're trying to hit all these red orbs to destroy this sandworm before you die. And I just had such a great time with it. What I will say is the story is absolute ass. And it sort of feels like the developer might have tried to put it in to just like make it feel a bit more cohesive.
Right.
But honestly, it would have been just as fine if it was like, just go nuts, dude. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And it keeps getting updates as well. Like I finished it maybe a month ago, and then like 3 days later, they released an update that had a roguelike mode in it. Just here's an entirely
Oh my
new
God.
framework for these mechanics to mess around with. I haven't even tried
Amazing.
that yet, but people seem to really like it. And when I checked the Steam page today, actually, to find out who made it, it's had like a few more updates. The developer just keeps being like, have 2 more weapons, and I've put like 3 more islands in here for you to find. I had a great time with this. A really, really fun FPS for specific sickos like me. But if you played Severed Steel in particular, I think this is better than Severed Steel. Even though Severed Steel had more of like a story, I think this is just like purely on a mechanical level. This is a much more refined shooter. It's good. Yeah. If you like Titanfall 2 as well, This is basically just Titanfall 2.
Yeah, this looks fun. This looks
It
like
does look
just
fun.
like
It is.
fun.
The world looks so nice.
It takes a bit of getting used to. I think because it's got so much like terrain deformation, I think the scale of it is right. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's not a graphical powerhouse, but it runs blisteringly fast. And it does have some beautiful moments to it.
It's giving like neon white, but not as, how do I put this nicely?
Horny?
Yes!
Oh my
Not
god.
as tumblery, not as
Ooh, that
not
that's
as
not saying it nicely.
don't get me wrong, like I love all that shit, but the speed is like the speed of neon white in terms of like zipping
absolutely.
through things. And it's also giving I Am Your Beast, which obviously you love as well. You love a fast-paced FPS.
I do. I just love committing violence at pace, apparently. That's my thing.
On a
Terrifying
hoverboard.
thing to say. On a hoverboard.
A pink glowing hoverboard.
Yeah, you can change the colour.
Ooh. What hat do you have?
I wore a propeller beanie for most of the game because
Okay.
it made me laugh every time I saw my character. But you can also put like stickers and stuff on your hoverboard.
Oh, I love shit like that.
Well, what's nice about shit like that is it's all unlockable by using workshop mods. So if you download like levels from the workshop, that's how you unlock a cosmetic, which I think is a really nice
that's
way of
really
encouraging you
interesting
to
way,
like, yeah, isn't it nice? Yeah. It's brill. This is like, it's the real shit. Definitely check it out.
Hell
Very
yeah.
nice.
And it's on sale right now.
It is 33% off. I like by the time this episode comes out, hopefully still.
Oh,
I don't know, we
yeah,
record
let's
quite a
hope.
way. I always do this, and then I remember that we record like a week to a week and a half in advance.
Yeah.
Sure.
I always do that too.
Oops.
You next, Rachel?
Yes, I will talk about my last game because I only have two. I also played Arctic Eggs last year, which was very odd, but very fun experience, kinda. Yeah, this is a physics game where you're given a frying pan and you have to cook stuff in it. And it's really hard. The setting is this kind of like brutalist, quite oppressive settlement in like the sci-fi world. And the idea is that you've tried to escape, and your punishment is that you are now going around feeding people with your frying pan. Whatever they want, you stick it in your frying pan, you cook it up, and they eat it. And a lot of the time, this is just an egg. You just cook an egg, flip it over, and then when it's done, you give it to the person, and the person eats it. What makes this game weird and fascinating is that you start off with eggs, and soon other shit gets put into your frying pan. So at one point, some guy's like, yeah, I want an egg and I want 2 cigarettes. And you're like, okay. So you start frying an egg and 2 lit cigarettes in the frying pan. And the cigarettes essentially act as timers, and you have to, because by the time the cigarette gets down to the butt, your timers run out for how long you're supposed to cook the egg for. So you have to keep moving the frying pan to cook the egg, and you control the frying pan with your mouse. And it's really sensitive. So you have to like shuffle your mouse so your frying pan is moving, so the egg is cooking as these 2 cigarettes are in it. And then other shit gets thrown in as well. Like some guy's like, I want a bunch of bullets. So then suddenly you have an egg and 2 cigarette butts and loads of bullets gets putting in. And the bullets, if you cook them for too long, they explode and you have to start again. And so as you talk to each person, they have different dietary requirements, essentially. So someone, like it'll be eggs. Eggs are easy, obviously. Cigarettes, bullets, pints of beer, which you cannot spill. So a pint of beer, you'll be frying, and then a pint of beer will drop, and you have to balance it so that you cook the eggs, you have to keep the egg moving, but the drink cannot spill, and you have to keep it steady, the frying pan steady, as you cook the egg. You just get more and more different objects, different combinations, and you have to just satisfy the needs of whoever you're talking to. But yeah, this sci-fi world is kind of like, I don't know, there's like guards and people are just like hanging out. It doesn't seem melancholy, but it's obviously not happy either. You don't really know why everyone is there. But the idea for you is there's a ruler of this very strange place who's called the Saint of Six Stomachs. And if you can feed everyone in the settlement, you can go to this person and cook them a meal, and then maybe you can leave the settlement. So yeah, you're cooking for, I think it's 27 people in different areas. So there's a bar area, there's people just hanging out outside, there's different rooms, and every time you complete a certain number of people in an area, the next area unlocks. And yeah, there's just a very strange vibe to the game. I think the idea is essentially you're bringing people like a little bit of happiness and conversation through the act of cooking for them, which is really sweet. But I don't know, it's kind of left a bit ambiguous what is happening, and the way that these people are communicating with you is some are a bit bored, some aren't too bothered, some are kind of like questioning why they're there and what's going on, and you do get snippets of like what this all means and what's happening, but it's kind of not, it's about that but not about that. I don't know, it's just a very strange game. That's really difficult, by the way. Yeah, this game gets really fucking hard, and I wasn't happy about it. I think at one point I had to... Was it a pint? There's one point where I had a glass of whiskey, and you have the whiskey glass, and then the 2 ice cubes drop into it, and then the liquid comes into it, something like that. But the idea is, if the ice cubes go directly onto your pan, they melt faster. So you want to keep them in the glass so they don't melt, because if they melt, you have to start again. So each object has rules and an end game situation. So, I mean, the obvious one is you just completely chuck everything out the pan. Like, everything has to stay in the pan. So you can't, like, wiggle it around, because it will just go flying everywhere. And, right. People don't want that. They want to eat. Yeah, it was a very strange little thing that I really ended up enjoying. And the ending's a bit weird, and... yeah, it's very short. Well, it depends on how good you are at frying eggs and bullets and that. But there's something, this game is saying something. I'm not sure if I caught quite onto it. But yeah, it's a wonderful little thing that it's very weird, and I've really enjoyed it. So there we go. Arctic eggs. Go fry some eggs.
Can I admit something that I'm quite ashamed of now that you've told me what this game is? Because I've heard of this game and I saw it on Steam. I was convinced this was a horror game.
Oh,
it does have horror game vibes.
It looks like a horror game, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it is literally just about frying things.
I think
that's
probably
so funny.
It did have a moment over, like, I want to say over Christmas break with like streamers who do a lot of horror game content. So it's probably one of the reasons it got, and that and the art style is probably why.
Yes, this is quite it looks kind of lo-fi. There's a lot of, it looks quite foggy. It looks, it's. Again, brutalist architecture, lots of neon signs, lots of military presence. There's a prison. So it's giving horror game for sure.
Yeah, I think it's by the same publisher as Mouthwashing, so I think both of them were around the same time.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I was like, I ain't ever fucking touching that. But now I'm like, I might play that. That sounds good.
I
see. I've watched this streamed a couple of times. I love watching physics games, but I know that I'll get too frustrated to play them. And watching this my exact feeling was like, this is great. I won't play this game. I will go nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got really good at it, but it was difficult.
I bet you did. Yeah. I just don't have the patience with physics games. I enjoy a lot of them, but I like to watch them because otherwise I'll just get really annoyed. But yeah, this has got a real the implied world building is really fascinating.
Yeah, I don't think I quite understood, but I was they speak quite poetically. So there's a theme throughout the game of people asking, like, is it possible to fry an egg at the top of Mount Everest? And it kind of becomes a thought experiment as you're talking to these people about what that means. And it's so weird. Because it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it feels like it feels like a philosophical question, but is it a faux philosophical question?
All right, yeah.
And if it is faux, what does that mean? Is that a meaning in and of itself? Yeah, it's very...
Yeah. No, it makes you think more than you would think a game about frying eggs and cigarettes would.
I'm also not into physics games like like Quap or Getting Over. Is it Getting Over It or something?
Yeah.
But the story and the world building really pulled me
Yeah.
through here, and it is funny cooking the various stuff. That's right. It's okay. It's like a bottle of beer, so it's not like an open glass of beer.
Oh,
It's
okay.
It's like a pint glass.
It's,
I was
it's not
about
a pint.
to say,
It's a
yeah.
bottle. So there's a whiskey glass which is open that you have to make sure that doesn't topple over. But yeah, it's a beer bottle. But again, because it's tall and it's like kind of slidey, it's slippery. Oh, each one has a
there's
different approach.
There's a whiskey drink. There's a lager drink.
There's beer, whiskey, cigarettes, eggs. I'm pretty sure there's a puffer fish at one point that deflates
What?
or inflates, something like that.
Yeah, like sausages and bacon in there as well, right? It's like there are a couple of other.
Yeah, there's other
like,
food. Yeah, I think.
But like the bacon looks like the maddening part because it's like a completely solid like spike of bacon is the.
And with bacon you've gotta fry both sides. So you have to like flip it in a way, like kind of get it to the edge of your pan and flip it in a way that it will fry on both sides. Because if you only fry one side, it's not cooked and you must start again.
Interesting.
All sorts of nonsense.
Sometimes in our trio dynamic, one of us will make a comment where it really highlights, I think, how even though there's very little age gap between us all, how sometimes I feel like me and Rebecca are the older people on the podcast.
Wait, why?
I tried to make a very, very bad Chumbawamba tub thumping joke when I asked if there was a whiskey drink and a lager drink. And I was about to say, are there any songs that remind them of the good times? And Rebecca laughed at it, but you very sincerely answered.
Which is weird, because there's 2 years between me and Liam and only like 6 months between the two of you, so we've got the exact cut-off for Chumbawamba's cultural relevance.
Why is that?
Yeah, why is that 6 months? You know Chumbawamba's tub thumping?
What is
It's a classic. It was on Donkey Konga as well. That's am I having a stroke? Do you
What are you talking?
Do you understand anything I'm saying right now?
Chumbawanga.
Chumbawamba tub thumping. I get knocked down.
Oh,
tub
that
thumping.
song.
Yeah, that, yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't a good joke. It wasn't even a joke, really. It was more of just like a thing I said.
I do know that song, but my main frame of reference for it is it was a joke in The Simpsons in like the early 2000s.
Oh,
So that's mainly where I remember that lyric from.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Also, Chumbawamba, you ceased to become relevant somewhere between the cultural moment of kids of 1992 and 1993. So that's, if
very
you wanted
small.
to know, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So funny.
While we were having that discussion, I almost fell out of my chair, laugh coughing.
Oh, babes.
It was extremely funny. I don't know why. Just like dating the moment Chumbawamba died as a cultural entity was so funny to me.
That's now the two I remember now are Chumbawamba and Okie Doke. I think are the two that
Okie Doke
broke you.
Oh, see, I don't remember
you did know
that
Okie
one.
Doke.
I knew.
You don't. Oh, yes, that's the other side.
I knew Okie Doke.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
I did not know.
That's where Liam likes.
Chumbawamba.
That's where the pine cone came from, right?
Mhm.
Was me talking about eating Okie Doke?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
pine
no.
cones
Yeah,
or
there we go.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly
Yeah.
I was just a little bit too old for that, and you were just a little bit too young for Chumbawamba.
There it is.
Yes, I just
The
really
thing
do
that
feel like
divides us.
Rachel and I are under 3 years apart in age.
Yeah,
There's
it's
nothing in
really
it.
nothing in it.
Absolutely not.
Apparently enough for Chumbawamba though.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. Anyway, shall we finish off with some hyperfixations?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you mind if I go first? Because I am losing my voice and I want to
Absolutely.
Go
not.
for it,
get
babes.
mine. So I have two because it's been a little bit longer than usual between recordings, and so it's given me time to come up with two hyperfixations. And like, you're gonna have to bear with me here because these could not be more disparate, but also in my mind they've become links just because I was thinking about them a lot at the same time. So bear with me. First one is I went to see like Event Cinema Association filmed version of Six the Musical a couple of weeks ago.
Oh shit! Oh, I want to see that so bad.
So we wanted to go see. It's on in the city we live in, which I try not to name where I live too often. But it's touring at the moment. We were trying to get tickets. It's sold out. It's just like impossible. By the time By the time we knew about it was sold out. So we were like, oh, we'll go see it at the cinema when they filmed the original cast reunion.
Cool.
And we went to see it. And I mean, I don't know what I could say about Six the Musical that kind of hasn't already been. It's amazing. It's so good.
I don't know if many of our listeners will know what Six the Musical
I'll
is.
give it a bit of context. So
I don't
it
have
is
a clue what this is. Yeah,
it's a musical. It's kind of like, it's not like a full-on musical because it's kind of like a meta staging of like a music show about the Six Wives of Henry VIII.
Oh.
Yeah.
And because I'm a history nerd and because I like a musical, obviously it's the sort of thing that I'm really into. It's like a very feminist retelling, and it's like about wanting to tell the stories of like these women who are mainly remembered because they were all married to the same man, and it kind of does interrogate that idea of like who were they as people, and like what does it say about the way we receive history that we lump all these people together because at various points they were all married to the same man. The music is amazing if you're like a sort of 2000s girly who was into the various iterations of like girl pop music in the 2000s. It is extremely nostalgic, and you know the inspirations of everything from like Avril Lavigne and like Beyonce, and there's Emily Sandé as well, and there's just the music's so good. And so I really, really enjoyed that. Like 2 weeks since I went, and I'm still humming all the tunes, and it's definitely one that's kind of gone into rotation with like the Wicked soundtrack as well.
Hell yeah.
For me. So there's that. And the other thing is, and this is where you've really got to bear with me.
Oh, okay.
For work, I have been asked to cover a game called Love and Deep Space, which is another... So this is the weird thing, right? It's another gacha game. It's another gacha RPG. That's the thing that I specialise in my day job a lot. It came out last year. It's by the same studio that did Infinity Nikki.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Also came out last year, but is mobile only at the moment. Whereas Infinity Nikki was kind of cross-platform.
My God.
Yes. Okay.
What
So
is
here's what it
this?
is, right? And you're gonna get why I'm so into this and why it's so. Anyway, it is a ARPG dating sim, sci-fi, like quite realistic graphics. Extremely thirsty, extremely thirsty, but like they less thirsty when you get into the game. It's more like because people kind of like it sort of launched very quietly, at least in Europe and like outside of Asia, I guess. But late last year, they did a big advertising push through YouTube in English. And so it's been getting more traction among like European players and American players over the last few months. It's being sold as this like ultra horny game, but it's really more like it's trying to do a... What was it? Like,
Liam's face.
it's trying to do like this all-in-one boyfriend simulator in a very odd way. So like it's sold as this like very, very like horny dating sim, and then you get into it and it's like just extremely like melodramatic romance more than like risque stuff when you get into it. But obviously I love a dating sim, I love sci-fi, and I love games where you get to shoot things and then go on dates. That's like one of my favourite things. So obviously working on it, I'm well into it. I have a favourite, it's Zane.
Which one's that?
Dr. Zane.
I love another Zane. I love games like this. There's always a guy called Zane. Which one's that?
Yeah. It's with a Y this time though, because it's the future.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's like the story's actually pretty good. Like the sci-fi aspect is pretty solid.
Is it the blonde one, Rebecca?
Is surprisingly good. No, it's not the blonde one.
Is it the one with black hair?
Yeah.
Ah!
I mean,
God, the website's taking so long to load. I want to see these hot boys.
I bounced quite hard off Infinity Nikki. I really got into this because obviously I'm into my dating sims. I'm into my sci-fi RPGs. But the reason I was trying to work out, and this is kind of where it gets weird, I was trying to work out why this and Six the Musical were the two things occupying so much space in my brain because they are so far apart. And then I realised that there are two reasons, right? One reason is playing Love and Deep Space. Like as a bisexual woman, I was starting to feel like quite weirdly invalidated by it. So like having Six the Musical, which is like a very sapphic queer icon, like balances that out really nicely. But the other thing is, genuinely, I think both of them as pieces of media, disparate as they are, address a female audience very directly in a way that I'm still used to being a periphery demographic for most things that I enjoy. You know, because I'm into things that still primarily target men. I'm into video games. I'm into, you know, like horror films and sci-fi and these things that assume male as default. And then women, if you enjoy it, like great, but we're not going to target it at you. Mm-hmm. And so obviously musicals are a bit different, but like seeing something that was like, this is going to talk about Henry VIII without ever talking about Henry VIII.
Yeah.
And then this thing that's like, this is a sci-fi RPG that's actually aimed at women. And not just in the fact that it's like, oh, it's pretty men and so forth, and therefore it's aimed at it. It's like it takes a female experience in ways that other games don't. Like it talks about like period tracking. It talks quite a lot about issues that actually affect women. This is the period tracking game.
I know it now.
Yeah, you do. Everyone knows the period tracking. But it's like, I find that weird, but at the same time, it's like, it's just so interesting to see something that like so directly addresses women as the audience in a game. And I'm not saying it's brilliant. It's got a lot of issues, but it is like cheesy good fun, honestly.
Yeah. Love that.
And because we obviously, Rachel knows, we were talking about Mystic Messenger a couple of months ago, and like a lot of Mystic Messenger players have jumped onto this for like obvious reasons. And yeah, I just felt like it's been a weird couple of weeks for feeling like following media for women for a change, because I'm usually into stuff that tends to be like for boys, but you can enjoy it too if you like. And I'm like, oh, this is new, this is interesting. I feel very seen.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like this game's weird as hell, and like the gacha, I think, is one of the more predatory gachas that I've seen. So like, I don't recommend it from that aspect, but in terms of like, I work on gachas all the time, so I'm very used to ignoring the predatory monetization of these games and like assessing them as, you know, as the game as designed, I guess. I'm really into it. I'm like,
this looks
embarrassingly
fun.
quite into it.
This is a great report from this particular part of the industry. I was sat next to someone on the train down to London who was playing this.
Oh, yeah.
And I had no idea what she was playing. And I was like, why is that anime boy so high definition? But now I understand why.
Yes.
What I love about this website is if you scroll down in the features bit. By the way, this website, which apparently is 12 gigabytes to download or something.
Yeah, it's not loading for me.
So there's a bit where I put features. It has 3 features. One of which just says, lots of features actually, but one of them says 3D intimate interaction. The 2 bullet points are intriguing romantic interactions. Do what your heart desires from various angles. And then there's a very pretty blonde boy with his top off. And then a hand comes in and he says, "Is this my punishment?" And it like grabs him by the throat and the chin and like straightens him up.
Emphasize enough how that is not what the game is like most of the time.
Oh,
They're
right.
really getting people in. They're really getting people in with the very
very horny.
Yeah.
But the other bit where it just talks about just like first person interaction, there's a very pretty boy that scoops a little goldfish out of a pond and then hands it to the protagonist as it flops around.
I've played that bit.
Oh.
But then there's another bit where someone does basically the same animation but with a gun. So maybe this is the best game ever made.
It's a wild game to play because knowing as they do, and like, by the way, this game actually outperformed Genshin Impact last month, but people aren't talking about it because it's aimed at women, right? And I genuinely think it's like,
let's go, girls.
It's a very niche, like idea. People aren't talking about it very much, so that's why I'm like working on it a lot at work. It's because it knows that there aren't any other games that are really doing this in this kind of like very high production value. It is trying to be everything. Like I say, it's like, it is a sci-fi action RPG. It is a dating sim. It is a period tracker. It is like basically a Siri like calendar function. It's like a virtual boyfriend that tries to talk to your family in a way that I find quite weird. It's like, do you want to introduce me to your family? I'm like, no, mate.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think if my mum was worried that I was still single, I don't think that you talking to her would make her feel better about the fact that she didn't have a son-in-law yet, to be honest. But it's just, it's messy and weird, but I am like, the writing's good. The English voice acting is surprisingly good, and it's all like, no one knows who the cast is, which I'm like, guys, you can be getting so much more work. Oh yeah, it has like a whole ASMR function where it's like, just put it on and like, go to sleep.
Oh my God.
It's just, like I say, I think I'm more just, I mean, I do like the writing and the characters, but I am more just intrigued by never having felt like the target demographic for a game so much.
Right, but this is why I started playing Infinity Nikki as well. I was like, it's so fucking girly. I need to play it. I want to play it. Like, I'm feeling it with this as well. I just want to check it out at least,
it's the same,
you know?
Yeah.
It's the same studio, but I bounced off Infinity Nikki because I just don't care about clothes at all. Like, it's not...
That was fair.
I couldn't get into it because of that. But like this, I'm like, hell yeah, sci-fi boys with a variety of backstories who are all in love with you. I can get into this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check this out. Just
Should we all? Let's all do
research.
it. Let's. Oh yeah, me too.
Actually, yeah. I need friends on this game. I need friends on this game.
Okay,
So add me.
how do you get it on the? I don't think my phone would
Okay.
run it.
Because it's a ridiculously high spec, and they know that they should just put it to PC and PS5. I've literally sent them they were like, "What are your suggestions?" I'm like, "PC and PS5, please." They don't have any sort of account strikes against using emulators, so I'm playing it on BlueStacks on my PC.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. What is BlueStacks? What is that? We can talk about this later.
It's
We
a
can talk about
mobile
this later.
game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a mobile game emulator. It's pretty reliable.
Send me the details. Can you play Mystic Messenger on it?
Probably. I don't know. I'll have to look into it.
Heavy
My phone actually will run Mystic Messenger, so the thing is, the problem with Mystic Messenger on BlueStacks would be that you actually need to have your phone in your hand for when they call you and text you and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're right. I'll have to just download it then.
Anyway, I am
Took some convincing.
We've had a bit of a reshuffle. We've had a bit of a reshuffle at work, and now my sort of semi-official role is as the dating sim expert on the team. So
Incredible.
As you should be on your throne.
Yep. Well deserved.
I'm really enjoying this, and like I said, the combat's actually pretty good. This is
Okay.
I
wild.
love this. I love this for everyone involved.
I know, right? Isn't it a good time?
What
Like I say,
a wild
just
ride.
just be careful in that gacha, because they you think Hoyoverse is bad. This is
Oh, really?
probably worse.
I've played some other Otome games where they really do want you to plow them with money, and I've avoided it so far. But maybe this game, maybe this will be the one.
Maybe. I'm trying to get put on the press list at the moment so that I can not be trying to
Get those
scrape together
free-
a team.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, they'll put you on it, surely. I think this is. I
Hopefully.
read an article about this game last week, I think, actually, where there was an event in China and you could just go and stand next to a cardboard cutout of the characters and thousands of people turned up.
I mean, that's very
Incredible.
gacha
Yeah.
games do have that kind of appeal. Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
they do, don't they?
Anyway, that was the latest update from my other life.
Love it.
Incredible.
Love it when you tell us about this
Yeah.
stuff.
Thank you for letting me ramble, guys. That was very
Oh.
gratifying.
Incredible.
Also, Six the Musical. Can we bring it back to that as such a good
Oh,
show?
yeah. I forgot we
yeah.
spoke about that as well.
Yeah.
I really want to go see
So
that.
I'm hoping that the film version, because it was a proper filmed version that I went to see,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that will turn up on a streaming service soon, because it's just been released, which is why it was in cinemas. So,
Yes, I
Definitely
pray
will.
that it will.
but
'cause
yeah,
I wanna
put
see
on
it.
the Six the Musical soundtrack, play some Love and Deep Space, and just enjoy your girly self.
And never mind.
Oh no!
No.
Go on. Let's get a little bit blue there, Rachel.
No, I was just gonna say it's perfect when you're on your period, okay? It's perfect when
Oh,
you're
yeah,
on your
actually, that's-
period. But I don't know how
that's
people
real.
who listen to our podcast have periods, so that's that's just putting
Well,
it there.
you shouldn't. Definitely don't censor yourself for that reason.
Hell yeah!
Thanks, guys, for your support.
The fact that it tracks your period is just
Yeah. I think if your anime boyfriend can mention your period, we can mention it on this goddamn podcast. 100%.
absolutely. I also find it because I'm romancing the Doctor, so when he's like, "Can I track your period?" At least it makes sense in universe. I don't know how people romancing the other characters feel about it.
Here, take this goldfish. Can I track your period?
Junior, here, take this tampon.
I found it on the street. One is enough, right?
Oh. It's like that joke of he's either 1 or 15,000. There's no number in between.
It just lasts one day, right? You just need the one. Yes. Who's next? Who's Hyperfixation's next? Liam, do you want to go?
I can do. Yeah. This weekend I caught COVID and I played Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3 for a long
shit!
time. This game fucking rips. And we might be 3 for 3 for Strange Scaffold making their way into my top 5, by the way, because I really like this game. It's the latest game by Strange Scaffold. You might know them as the creators of I Am Your Beast and El Paso Elsewhere, which featured on our Game of the Year lists for 2 years each. This is the studio that's helmed by Xavier Nelson Jr., who I interviewed last year. This is a match 3 puzzle Metroidvania comedy game?
Wild.
Question mark. Xavier keeps calling it a Metroidvania, which makes me angry with how funny that is. You play as a guy called JJ Hardwell, and it's like a Resident Evil pastiche where you go into a big creepy mansion full of dinosaurs to try and defeat an evil scientist. And the way that you tackle encounters is through a match 3 puzzle game like Candy Crush or Honey Pop, which are the only two match 3 puzzle games I can think off the top of my head. Bejeweled.
Say,
I should have gone with Bejeweled.
Spirit Swap.
Oh
yeah, Spirit
Swap.
Swap. Yeah, which is interesting actually, because I think this is a better match 3 game than Spirit Swap actually.
Actually, yeah, I also have thoughts on how Spirit Swap operates as a match 3 game. So Honey Pop is still, I think, the best, like the gold standard to actually compare the match 3 mechanics to. Anyway.
So what's great about this is that each encounter, it'll give you a grid of things to match 3 with, but you take it in turns with an enemy. So the very first encounter in the game is a chain link fence that you can't get over. So you've got to match puzzles to try and get over it. So you will try and match some objects, and then they go into your pool of resources, and then you use those to trigger abilities. And those abilities might be climb the fence or talk to someone, or they might be attack someone by like matching knives to do damage and like charging up your moves. And then the other person will also take a turn and they will be attacking you back. So like as a puzzle game, it's like really fun. It's very engaging. The way it works is very like punchy, and the animations are brilliant. But this is also just a really, really funny game about games. So the idea here that this is the 3rd game in the creepy redneck dinosaur mansion series, and your main character, JJ Hardwell, becomes aware very quickly he's in a video game, and that video game has been cancelled. So you're like exploring this game, and you're going through all these like unused concepts and finding development notes and finding bits of code from the second game, such as a sexy dinosaur companion, which is very, very fucking funny. And the way that it's structured is you will go to like a bar, which serves as your checkpoints, and then you venture out back into the house, and you'll have a bunch of options, and each of those options will lead to branching paths, most of which will be dead ends. But when you reach those dead ends, you will get it's like a trait, I guess, and those traits act as like keys to get you through other dialogue options at other parts of the game. So for instance, one of the traits you can find is coward. So if you do enough cowardly things, eventually you'll get the coward trait, and then when you're walking around, you will get an option that says coward, and will let you do something and get a different ending. Will let you explore the house further. This is very funny from like a joke perspective, because sometimes you'll enter an encounter and there'll be 2 grayed out options with ridiculous trait names, one of which is wondering if you're secretly racist. And I was like, how do you get that? And the way you get that is very, very funny. So you'll find all these things, and it's just brilliant. It's just really, really good. I had a really wonderful time, about 7 hours. It has a horror polka soundtrack. Polka? How do you say that? It is polka, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Like the German jaunty music.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
babes.
the soundtrack
I'm not the
is
musical one here.
It's so jaunty. There's a lot of like mouth harp sounds in this game.
Oh, fun.
Honestly think like Strange Scaffold are just out here doing the thing. They're making games that are just inventive and weird, and they're scaling them perfectly so they come out at pace, and they're, you know, getting people's work out there without making them have to work, you know, hundreds and hundreds of hours. It's not perfect. I actually think that a lot of the different branching pathways are quite badly choreographed and signposted. So when I got to the end of the game, I couldn't fully get to, like, I assume the secret ending, because there's a bunch of branching paths that the game's not really indicating where I can find them unless I play through it all again and go down each individual path, and there's like 3 or 4 dialogue options per permutation. But this game rips. I really, really like this. It's great on Steam Deck. Thoroughly recommend it.
I'm so excited for this one. Like,
I think you'll really like it.
Yes.
I think I will, because like I love Honey Pop, and obviously I'm not ashamed of the fact that I love Honey Pop, but I still maintain the great thing about Honey Pop is the match 3, not the dating the busty ladies. Although that's good too. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I'm perfectly down for a horror themed sort of horror comedy match 3. So
Yeah, it's so funny.
I'm glad you enjoy. I mean, I suspected you might enjoy it, but I'm very glad that it's got your seal of approval. Also,
it really does.
Glad that it works on Steam Deck because I'm never sure about match 3 on Steam Deck.
Yeah, it works perfectly. Works really well.
Ooh.
Awesome.
It's probably better with mouse control, but I blitzed through all of it with Steam Deck and I had a great time.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Very nice.
Cool.
What's your hyperfixation, Rachel?
Mine is The Rehearsal, which is in its second season, which just started. So it's not much of a hyperfixation in terms of like, there's only one episode of season 2 out so far. But there's just something about Nathan Fielder that I just can't stop thinking about. So
Agreed.
Henry hadn't seen the first season. And for those who haven't seen or know about what The Rehearsal is, how do I even... So you might have heard of like Nathan For You, which is another show done by Nathan Fielder in which Nathan kind of helps people, quote unquote, helps people with their problems or businesses to try and like make them be successful. So one might be like, oh, I have an ice cream parlor, the ice cream isn't selling well. Nathan will come in and be like, right, to get the marketability up, you should sell an ice cream that tastes like literal shit. And then you'll go viral. And then so it's kind of like helping people, I guess. I couldn't watch a lot of it because I'm quite bad with cringe comedy and I get so cringe and so it's the secondhand embarrassment is so real that I just have to switch it off. The Rehearsal is different and it's unlike any other TV I've ever seen. I rewatched the first season again with Henry because he hadn't seen it. It kind of follows the same premise as Nathan For You, but this time Nathan is trying to help people with their problems, but in terms of like life and social problems. So for example, the first episode is he meets someone who has been lying to their quiz group about having a master's degree. And it's gone to the point where his group of friends are sending him job ads in which you need a master's degree. And he's feeling really uncomfortable about it. And he's very sincere and he wants help admitting this, like, to his friend group. One person in particular who he thinks will have a particularly bad reaction. He wants to basically come clean to them. So Nathan's like, right, okay, we're going to rehearse this. So the way that he preps this person is he makes a real life-size one-to-one replica of the bar where they have these quiz competition shows in. He hires a bunch of actors to be in the bar. He hires someone to scope out this person that the main character thinks he's gonna have a problem with, so then when this guy practices his confession, it's with an actor who will act and behave like the person he's genuinely worried about, like his friend. And then it just goes completely bonkers from that. That's just the first episode. The rest of the episodes are just Nathan grappling with this idea of like, oh, what if you could practice being a parent? And so he like this woman who is like, I don't know if I want kids, but I'd like, a situation in which I can like see if I do want them. And so they hire children actors to be this person's child. But because it has to be in a short succession, it's like the kid actor changes like every day, different ages.
Oh my goodness.
These rehearsals are just so bonkers in terms of scale. He creates these like really intense, extravagant like role-playing situations, and then he himself gets caught up in them. And so it's kind of through a series of events, turns out that he actually also wants to take part in this experiment to see if he wants children because he's 38 and he's never had children. So he becomes the father figure in this fake family that they have. But at one point, one of the kid actors gets too attached to him because the kid actor doesn't actually have a father. And so there's like a moral situation in that. And it just asks a lot of questions because in terms of like documentary, reality, TV, like I do not know where Nathan Fielder starts and where his persona starts in terms of a person. And it's really fucking wild.
This is what I was going to ask. Can you, for people who don't know Nathan Fielder, I haven't seen The Rehearsal, but I've seen Nathan For You a lot. I really like it. Like, weird word. Can you describe what Nathan Fielder is like? because I think that's a very essential part of the premise of this show. Personality-wise.
He is.
If it helps, I have no idea what's going on. So
So-
explain like I'm
Okay.
me.
Yeah, the idea of these shows is Nathan himself, who is a very deadpan, very hyper serious, but also reads very like neurodivergent in terms of his
Yes.
humor and taking things very literally, and there's a certain sincerity to wanting to know the answers to these questions and generally wants to help people, but with a comedic twist, which is like. Yeah, and that's what I mean, where I don't know, because he must know what he's doing. And there must be some parts of his personality in it. But when you realize, like during the rehearsal of the first season, that Nathan had a divorce before the show. And so him kind of coming to terms with like having a family and children and acting it out in these scenarios, like there's part of him that's in it. Like obviously there must be. So it's just kind of, I don't understand. So anyway, the first season is very good. The second season, the first episode is that Nathan has become obsessed with airplane crashes, particularly ones which involve. I know. Particularly ones which involve. He was kind of looking at the transcripts between the pilot and the co-pilot, the captain and the co-pilot before these crashes happen, and there was a number of very worrying transcripts which kind of showed a miscommunication between the co-pilot and the captain in terms of the co-pilot not wanting to kind of like tell the captain that something was going wrong.
I have heard of that before, actually.
Yeah, there's like a massive hierarchy. And so Nathan, this first episode this is sincere. This is a very serious issue. These are very real transcripts and events that have happened. And he wants to approach it from a situation of, well, if these people could role play these situations to make them prepared for, in a real life situation, having to stand up to someone who essentially is higher rank than you, with these role play exercises, which he's an self-proclaimed role play expert in, could he help change the way that pilots are trained, like go to Congress and change the way that these training programs happen with the money that HBO has given him to create a comedy series?
Is that what the whole second season's about?
Yes.
So
That is
the
wild.
best way I've ever heard Nathan Fielder being described is that if he wasn't being paid money to make TV shows, he would be the most successful serial killer in human
Yes,
history.
or a cult leader. Absolutely. Yeah.
The guy is like, his ability to manipulate people into situations through pure social niceness.
It's like Louis Theroux, but like for evil. Like
Yes,
the way
he's-
that he can control and manipulate a conversation
totally right.
through awkwardness and through deadpanness
Yeah.
is it's wild. But you know, the force
I need
is
to watch
he wants to
this.
be used for good, but he wants to use the force for good. And this first episode is just as crazy. So in Nathan's mindset, he finds a pilot. I can't get too much into it. Basically, the first episode is introducing this idea for what I'm assuming is going to be like the rest of the show, which is, like if we can kind of prove that role-playing scenarios makes the co-pilot and the captain have a more comfortable talking open relationship in which pilot error goes down and plane crashes go down because pilots are better trained. Can we do that through role play? And how would that work? And it's this very, if the rehearsal was like, oh, I'm laughing because it's awkward. This one is a very serious topic matter, but because it's Nathan and the way he approaches certain situations, like he builds an entire fucking airport terminal in a warehouse. He always has warehouses with stupid shit in it. So like, and he hires a bunch of actors to go to a real airport and follow actual people and then come to this warehouse and then be those people in this warehouse. It's fucking insane. But it's some of the most, this TV show is nothing I've ever seen before. Like it's wild. And who knows where this conversation is going to go. I don't know if he'll actually do it. He was speaking to someone who's like on the National Transportation Transportation Safety Board. Like, he is so serious about this. But yeah, it's just really interesting. What the fuck?
That's
Like, what the fuck? So yeah.
I've been sat here the entire time like, is this real?
But that's the thing. Like, with the rehearsal, it's like, are these actors or real people, or is there some sort of like improv going? I have no fucking clue. I've no clue.
That's the great thing about Nathan Fielder, right? Is you, like you say, you don't know where his persona starts, to the point where I think it's just him. I think that's just who he is, which is even wilder.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All these people. Is this a real person or is this not a real? Because sometimes I'm like, that can't be a real person, but I'm like, is it a real person, or is it like? Yeah. Anyway,
he finds those people though, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Nathan For
he
You
does.
is full of people like that, like the Bill Gates impersonator from Nathan For You. I don't know whether you got that far.
I did not.
Oh.
I watched the episodes where it's like the well-known ones. Like I saw the alligator one, and I saw the ice cream one, and
the one where he breaks. The only time I've ever seen.
yes,
Nathan
I've
Fielder
seen. Yeah, with
break,
the guy with the piss guy.
saying about drinking his grandson's piss or something.
Yeah.
And even Nathan Fielder's like,
What?
can't cope with it.
Yeah.
yeah. But that's the thing. He finds these people, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, you don't know how he.
And it's America.
Wow.
This is the bottom line. It's America. There's
Yeah,
fucking
true.
batshit crazy people that love you, but also, well, you know, there's some wild people. But yeah, it's a really good show. Give it a go. Season 2 looks crazy if you haven't seen season 1. It's just like nothing I've ever seen.
I'll need to find a way of watching the rehearsal over here. I think it's on Now TV, but
Yes.
I will watch season 1.
I think it
report
is.
Back.
Yeah.
Well, what
Cool.
the fuck?
Yeah.
And yeah, on that note, I think we are at the end of our episode. We've been recording for 2.5 hours. I assume that's going to get cut down quite a lot
yeah.
in the edit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, oh, it's been a delight. We've been having so much fun.
It's been great. You wouldn't think we're seeing each other in person next week by the fact that we've managed to yap for 3 hours. Would
Oh,
you?
I know.
But
No, I
well
know.
done, us.
Yeah. It's like, yes, I hold something back, but no.
No. There'll be more to talk about. There will be more.
That
There'll
will
always
be
be
good.
more.
Yep.
Every encounter is like, we're never going to see each other again. That's
Yeah.
how we've always conducted this friendship.
Oh, it's so real.
We yap like we'll never see the other people ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're about to lose each other.
Oh.
Oh.
But less distressing, hopefully. Anyway, I do believe that is it for us for now. So it just falls to me to say goodbye. Oh, unless, Liam, do you want to?
Yeah, we've got a Steam curator page now. If you want, we're trying to find ways of putting juice in the podcast without going down the methods that everyone else recommends. The tried and tested ones that work. We're like, now let's try different ones. We now have a Steam curator page. If you want to find all of the things we recommend on Steam, you can. Just follow it for us if you wouldn't mind. It might do something for us. Let's find out together, collectively, as a family. So that'll be in the episode description.
More data. That's what we
More
love.
data.
All right. For real this time, I think. Goodbye for now. And see you all soon. And see you guys very soon.
Yes.
See you next
Bye.
Bye.
In person. Bye.
Indieventure is a video games podcast created, produced, hosted, and edited by Rachel Watts, Rebecca Jones, and me, Liam Richardson. For more information, including a list of every game we mentioned in this episode, make sure to check out our website, indieventurepodcast.co.uk. You can get in touch by sending your questions, comments, and feedback to contact@indieventurepodcast.co.uk. You can support the show by rating us 5 stars and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or your preferred podcast provider of choice. Some of the games we talk about on the show may have been provided to us for free for review consideration. Our intro music and stings were composed for us by Ollie Newbury. Check the episode description to hear more of his excellent tunes. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks for another episode of Indie Venture. Bye for now.